Okay, so we saw this game over the weekend, Mexico beating Peru 1-0. Now, our production team must be feeling very positive because they asked you to pick a positive takeaway from this game. But I have to say, as somebody who sometimes watches Mexico from a fan's perspective, I didn't see a whole lot of positive. I saw very much the same team we saw throughout World Cup qualifying, which is a team that, when they had the ball, wasn't dangerous, and when they didn't have the ball, was very vulnerable. So that's the pessimist. Give me the optimist, Juan Carlos. What was a positive takeaway from Mexico's victory over Peru?
Well, the question will be if to include Luis Chavez and Carlos Rodriguez as inside midfielders is because the manager is thinking that the structure in midfield could be 1-2 versus, or as opposed to be 2-1.
You know, Juan Carlos, looking at this, just I guess if I had to pick a positive, it would be that it's another defensive shutout. In the last 13 games, they shut out the opponent 9 times, only 6 goals against in those 13 games. So that would be my silver lining if we had to look at something positive. But here's another positive. It's Chucky Lozano. Chucky Lozano scored a goal. It's something like over 9 months since he scored his last goal. You've gotten the best out of Chucky Lozano. How can Tata Martino get the best out of Chucky Lozano?
Well, I do think that Hirving has to play as a winger on the left side. So when he comes out inside, he can give it go, or he can hit the ball like he has scored some goals. Now, I think for Hirving himself, the main goal should be to get enough playing time. So when in the next 4, 5, 6 games, he gets a top form, and then he can produce for the national team.
Juan Carlos, just to real quick focus it back on the game against Peru. You mentioned that the positive was something that you saw out of the midfield. Why is that so important to this Mexican national team and how it's playing right now, and maybe improving on how it's playing right now?
Right. I do think that if you play with 2 number 8s in midfield, then you will only have, if you play with 3 up front, then you will have 1 player left, and that will be a natural number 10 that plays behind the striker. And if that's the case, that number 9.5, as they call it in Spanish football, he will have to be the player that runs between center back and full back, that interval between the central defender and left and fullbacks. On the contrary, the idea is to play 1-2. Then you have one central midfielder that is positioned, and he plays by using that positional play, and the 2 inside midfielders, like they tried in the last game, will be the ones in charge to always do that running, trying to explode the space between center back and full back. So you will have one on the left side and one on the right side. And I thought that in this previous game against Peru, that's what the manager tried to do.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.